Hi, everyone. Welcome to Two Guys Talking Sports. It's our college football show edition, and both South Carolina and Clemson are about as dead as our friend Landry here. We got a very bad team, and then we got an even worse team. Let's just start with the worst team, which is the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Wait, I thought that would be Clemson.
I wish it was, but unfortunately, it's the South Carolina Gamecocks who fall to Missouri 34-12. They're 2-5 on the season, and I think the last time I felt this way about a team was probably 2020 during the COVID season, where I'm just not emotionally invested in them anymore.
Yeah.
It literally didn't bother me during the game how bad we were playing, so much so to the fact that I didn't even watch the second half. I went around on the golf cart with the kids, showed them the Halloween lights.
Yeah.
I just am not going to waste my time on a team that doesn't care to try and put a good product on the field.
If we're going to watch something spooky, I would rather it be Halloween decorations than our football team. I just think it's just not a good season, and it's on all fronts, health wise, injury wise, coaching wise, player wise. And, you always have that mentality of, somebody gets hurt, next man up. Well, unfortunately, the majority of our players that would be next man up are true freshmen and haven't really played. And I don't care how good you are recruited or highly recruited you are out of high school. There's a big difference in the competition. Some players just aren't ready. Right. But, like I said, it's getting them game reps. And I just feel like it's been a collection of everything. And also, man, we just have a very, very, very tough schedule, and there's really no down week in terms of competition that you can maybe try to get some momentum going, and the schedule's not getting any easier. It's not.
I think the worst part for me is that Beamer took over a dismal program. Yeah, absolutely. He took over a 3-win team. His first season gets him to a bowl game. Yeah, which was a overachievement of overachievements.
You can say his first 2 seasons were overachievements.
Right, and then last year was definitely an overachievement, especially, with the game against Tennessee and then the game against Clemson. And then, unfortunately, you lost the bowl game, but they played extremely well. So I think what's making this year so tough for me is the fact that we had so much hope coming out of last year. You had those amazing wins at the end of the year. Like I said, the bowl game, they played well. You took a lot of positives from it, even though you lost. Yeah. You had a great recruiting class. You pick up, Nyck Harbor, one of the top recruits in the nation during this time period. Yeah. All accounts where you were having a great spring. Rattler was looking like Rattler, which he is. I think that is the only bright spot of this season is that Rattler is what was always promised. Unfortunately for him, the results in the win-loss column aren't coming. As bad as our offensive line is, I think I saw someone say on Twitter that it's actually helping Rattler as far as his draft status because they're seeing him outside the pocket, what he can do under pressure, having to move out, and not just being able to throw in a clean pocket. They're seeing what he can. So personally for him, he's trending up as the team is snowballing down.
And I think last season especially, we had a lot of I wouldn't say senior leadership, but we had a lot of senior players that played. We had to replace 2 DBs, two starting DBs. Had to replace a bulk of the offensive line. The ones we had coming back that had experience are hurt now.
Exactly.
Got our top 3 receivers are doubtful for this weekend. Right. There's really not a whole lot we can do, and I don't know if that's just a thing of freak accidents happen. Is it on the strength staff? Because I swear, man, it feels like for the past half decade we always have injury issues.
I think some of it could be strength and conditioning, and also some of it is just the players you see getting hurt are the players that are having to be constantly fed the ball. Xavier Legette is being constantly thrown to. And then on top of that, the play that he gets hurt on is you have him returning kicks for whatever reason. That makes no sense to me. Because 9 times out of 10, let's just take the, touchback. Yeah. Something, let it go out the end zone, something like that. And, stick anybody back there.
Yeah.
To
the
return
guy
the
we
kicks.
did was he's hurt too, Ahmarrean Brown. It's DK Joyner. And I know, especially with Pete Limbo's, I guess, coaching philosophy, they want and even Beamers, they want the athletes out there on special teams. And I get it. Like you want them out there.
I get it, but whenever it's a player like Legette, where he's basically your only offensive weapon at the moment, and you got to feed him as much as you can in the offensive series to stick him back there to not only be tired, and it's just one more thing that he's got to do. You're also risking injury where he ended up getting injured on, a special teams play.
And it wasn't even a big hit. I don't know if he just got hit the right way.
Right.
Because it wasn't like a jaw-dropping
Some of it is that
hit.
he has gotten hit so much because he's been fed the ball so much that eventually the body's just going to break. Yeah. Or it's just going to feel dinged up, or it's just going to be extremely sore. You can only take so many hits. Whether it's freak play, strength and condition. I will say, so far, strength and condition wise, has been better the last few years than it has been in the past.
They're definitely getting bigger, but it's the same thing we had under Muschamp, where it's the soft tissue nagging injuries, or it's one thing if it's like a freak accident, somebody gets tackled, they get rolled and they tear their ACL, or they tear their ACL on the turf, like that's understandable. But it's like these soft tissue nagging injuries that we just can't keep up.
Some of it is depth. I mean, you're putting the same players out there constantly. There's not a lot of rotation on defense. There's not a lot of rotation on offense. Those same guys, like you said, they want them the best athletes on the field. Yeah. Special teams wise, okay, now you're taking defensive and offensive guys and putting them on punt return, kickoff. Yeah. So you're just sending out the same guys for basically every unit. Yeah. Eventually, those soft tissue injuries are going to come because it's just hit after hit after hit. Yeah. And unfortunately, depth is playing a role. It's going to get pinned on coaching, and some of it is. But eventually, when a guy is just constantly playing and there's no rotation, there's nobody behind him that's good enough or as good. Yeah, you're going to end up with those injuries.
And I mean, and honestly, looking where we were at when Beamer took over, I mean, it's like a 4 to 5 year rebuilding process where like you have to get players in there. Right. It's just unfortunately. With us, and you see this all across college football, it's this win now mentality, and coaches just don't have the opportunity to build a program up. It's all about win now, and if you're not winning or progressing the program, you're out of here.
Yeah, I think there definitely has to be some patience. I've always, as far as coaching before NIL, it's always been like, all right, a new coach, you need to give them basically 4 years. Yeah. And then you can really start to judge them after those 4 years as to whether or not they can cut it, because for some reason you got rid of a coach, or they may have moved on somewhere else. But that's basically their players that fit their scheme. Yeah. And so with Beamer, you got players that you didn't recruit. Yeah. For the most part. So unfortunately for him, he overachieved his first 2 years. So now there is no patience, because you can't take a step back. No. In a building process, if you overachieved, you got to at least meet that bar again. So that's why coming into this season, I thought 6 wins would be a good year for Beamer in where he was in part of his process of rebuilding. But as of right now, I only see one more win on this schedule. Maybe 2.
We got 2. I would definitely hit the.
But with the injuries, you don't know with that Vanderbilt game.
Yeah, but it's at home at least this year. The game against Missouri, it was just the same old. Right. Defensive line issues, defensive issues. I mean, it honestly looked like they didn't give 2 cares in the world to be out there against. And I get like. They're just constantly getting trashed on. They're constantly giving up yards. But listen, as bad as they've been, but they did a dang good job in the second half against Missouri.
The thing is like you got to go out there and care, because especially now with the NILs, most of these kids are getting paid similar to or more than the people that are taking their hard-earned money to pay for the tickets and support you. Yeah. And you come out and you play with this lackluster, just don't care. That's why I was like, all right, look, I can look on the screen and see you don't care. Yeah. It's not going well. Yeah. I'm going to go and, be with my kids. Yeah. Let's spend some time in something that matters. If this doesn't matter to you, then it's not going to matter to me.
And it starts on both sides of the line. If your offensive line cannot block, you can't run an effective offense. Right. You can't pass the ball effectively. You can't run the ball effectively. If you can't get any pressure with your defensive line, I don't care how good your secondary is, because there's only so much time you can hold that receiver intact without them running all over the place. I mean, you look at the first 2 years under Clayton White, we were either leading or at the top of the SEC standings and turnovers.
Right.
I don't think a single D. We may have 3 or 4 turnovers.
And those came in against Furman.
It's Furman. Yeah. Fumbles. It just you're both sides of the line dictate the way the game's going to go.
And I was thinking that the offensive line they were progressing and getting better, but then obviously now there's injuries. So. Yeah.
And let's not take anything away from Missouri. They're a dang good football team.
Yeah, they are. They definitely are. And I knew coming in that we were going to struggle, but it was the lack of effort, I think, and just you could tell that nobody cared.
Yeah.
You know, watching them on the field, and you know, that's the worst part to me.
Yeah, they seemed to care in the second half, but unfortunately, it was just a little too late. And just when Xavier Legette goes down, Ahmarrean Brown goes down. You're now relying on true freshman Nyck Harbor, Omega Blake to be, and when your line doesn't give you time to pass or do anything effectively, you're not going to score because all our points came off field goals, 4 field goals.
That's another bright spot though, is that you are getting these younger players in, and they look good. Omega Blake has looked really good this year. When you get him the ball. You've gotten Nyck Harbor in the game. I think he played over 50 snaps this past game.
He actually led the way with 50 receiving yards.
Get him in the game. Get him. And get him the ball and get those game reps. He's going to get better.
And he even said he's more comfortable. He's grown into the position.
Right.
And I know this is like beating a dead horse, but that's what it's going to take.
Right.
They're not going to learn anything by just practice, just in practice, because you don't go the same speed in practice like you do in games.
And that's why we were saying all year, just get him in the game. And you finally get him in the game. And they've talked about just his work ethic, that he's the first one there taking reps before practice. He's the last one to leave, just trying to get better so that he can get on the field. And I think the more that they get him out there, it's going to help, especially when Legette gets back on the field. Hopefully it's this week.
Yeah.
If Juice Wells returns, at this point, I don't think he's coming back. I think just from an individual standpoint, why?
Yeah, if you're hurt and you can see that the season's lost, even though you can technically play, you may not be 100%.
Right.
Why risk it? Even I think he could still technically return next year.
Yeah,
but why risk it?
Yeah, he's going to the NFL.
Yeah.
There's nothing at this point that he could show in 4 or 5 games with a banged up offensive line that is not going to give Rattler enough time to really get him the ball.
Yeah.
At this point, unless they went on some crazy run, and there's a chance, that we could finish off 6-6 or something like that, play that Clemson game, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
sure. But the way it's trending, like I said, maybe 2 more wins, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not so sure about Jacksonville State at this point.
Yeah, I know.